Hey, it's Jen Harrison here, author of Just As You Are, which today has officially been in a bookstore, which I'm so chuffed about, so pleased that people locally to where I live currently can get this book in a bookshop. So that's a great moment. I want today to talk to you a little bit about how us adults deal with our emotions when we were never taught how to in childhood. When I speak to women and I ask them, how are you? How are you? How are you feeling? The most common response that I get is, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm good. Something like this, but it comes with a tone that I know means that they're not okay. And this is a really common thing because in this today's society, we ask each other, oh, how you doing? How are you? But we're not really interested in listening to the answer most of the time. Tap the heart if you can relate to this. So when I ask women, how are you feeling? Their face tells me that they're really struggling with something. But the words that come out of their mouth are, I'm okay. And the reason that we do this is because we were taught to do it in childhood. If nobody ever sat down with you when you were a kid and was emotionally intelligent, so emotionally available, aware of emotions, able to say, oh, it looks like you're feeling angry, or I can see that you're really feeling upset about this. And if nobody ever taught you as a kid about what emotions are, then how are you going to know how you feel in your 20s, 30s, 40s and 50s? You're just not, are you? Makes sense, because nobody ever taught it you. So this is the most common thing that I see is that women say, I'm okay. And what does okay mean? I said this to somebody today, what does that mean? And she's starting to learn now that when she says I'm okay, she's actually just covering up how she really feels. And she's just learning to do this now in her 40s. And as she learns how to do this, she's going to be putting herself in a position to be that person for her children. So when she learns about emotions, she's then going to be able to hold that same space for her kids so that her children start to learn about their feelings at this age rather than them getting into 30s and 40s and not having a clue about how they feel. Another one of my clients today shared that her husband wasn't aware of his feelings, and she was talking about how it really shows how men aren't really aware of how they feel, and she's working on checking in with him around, how are you feeling, like trying to she's being loving with him, like trying to help him be aware of his emotions. And at the moment it's really new to him. And I said it's because he's likely never was taught this as a kid. So when children aren't taught this is why, one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about doing this work, is because when children aren't taught this at a young age, they wind up into their 30s and 40s in relationships where they can't express themselves. And so we wonder why in this world we have such a high divorce rate. It's because young women and men at a young age were never taught about how they feel. So they were never taught about how to express it. And so they just shove it down. And what often happens is the woman doesn't know how to ask for what she needs, so she will resort to getting angry and trying to manipulate her partner in some ways. And I've definitely done this in relationships myself because I was never taught as a kid how I felt. I was never taught, I never learned it at home or school as to how I actually felt or how to ask for what you need. So these are some of the ways that women will mask how they feel. They will say, I'm okay. And they won't really express what's really going on, because it's really likely that somebody in their life taught them that you don't express how you feel. If you're struggling, then there's no room in this home for that struggle. So you keep it inside, you don't bring it to the table. And a lot of women learnt in their childhood that if they do bring their struggles to the table, well, there isn't really anybody at the table to help them. Can you relate to that? Tap the heart if you can relate to that. So the women that I'm working with at the moment that are learning about their feelings and healing a lot of the wounds that came through their growing up, they're putting themselves in a position so that they can actually understand their own feelings and then learn how to share this with their children. Because many children these days also don't know how to talk about feelings. And I'll often give people different words for feelings, like rather than just I'm okay, I'm fine, I'm good, which used to be my go-to words. I used to always say I'm okay, and every part of my face was telling the other person that was asking me, everything on my face was saying I'm not okay. Everything used to say I'm struggling. And luckily I had someone at that point in my life who could read that and was, because they'd been taught about emotions, was able to hold a safe space for me and say, do you know, Jen, everything on your face is telling me that you're not okay. So I was able to then learn how to open up about emotions. And I was able to learn that it's actually not a wrong thing if I'm struggling. I used to think, I should be feeling okay. And that's why I used to say I'm okay a lot of the time. But when I learned how to open up about how I was feeling, then my whole life changed. I went from having panic attacks and chronic fatigue to completely panic attacks going, which one of my clients actually told me hers have completely gone now. She doesn't have panic attacks now because she started to learn about how to change her thoughts and how to change her feelings. That was such a wonderful moment when she told me that yesterday. So, what are the other ways that women hide how they feel? How do you hide your emotions? A lot of people that I coach and that I work with here, I see that they stuff them down through addictions. So tell me if you can relate to one of these things, and maybe right now you're not even aware of it, because I didn't used to be aware of this either. So so far this year, I have lost 2.5 stone in body weight, and that's been a personal journey of mine because I've took my own learnings to another level, in the sense of I used to use food as a way to handle my emotions. And this year I just realised that I was doing that. It became, even when I'd learned how to express my feelings, I was still in a pattern of reaching for food when I was feeling an emotion. Tell me if you can relate to this, or have a think at home. Do you do this? I was subconsciously reaching for food to stuff down emotions. So if I felt fear in a moment, I'd learnt from childhood that food was something that helped shift that emotion. But it became a destructive behaviour, because it meant that my body was carrying more weight than it wanted to be carrying. And so this is one way that we would stuff our feelings down. Another way is somebody might drink. So I was just journaling this morning and reflecting how at the age of 19, through my adulthood, I was never really a fan of alcohol. But I remember at 19 starting a new job and not knowing how to express my feelings. and work on my anxiety around this new job. I went into a new job, they didn't have time to train me, and I felt stuck. I felt like I couldn't ask for what I needed. And I remember having a panic attack that night, coming out of that new job, getting into my car, feeling this overwhelming anxiety. And I remember when I got home having a glass of wine. I didn't even really like alcohol, but I was struggling. And at 19, I hadn't been shown any other way to handle my emotions. So I did what a lot of people do in this world, which is quite a normal thing, and it's quite a socially acceptable thing to do, right? I had a glass of wine, and I was just reflecting on that today, thinking, wow, at 19, bless my heart, I was doing my best. I was just trying to cope with this fear that I had going on in my body. And this is why, guys, this is why I turn up for this work every day. This is why you'll see me consistently turning up and sharing this message. Because I can identify with the struggle that I had through my childhood, through my teens, and through my 20s of feeling fear on a consistent basis. And nobody around me had the tools to teach me how to change that. And one of my clients yesterday said that she doesn't have panic attacks anymore. And for me, that was an amazing thing to hear, because if we can teach children from a young age how to process their feelings and change their thoughts and their feelings so that they don't need to feel continuation of fear, they're not going to get into their 20s and end up going to food and alcohol, which are just two ways that adults would cope with their feelings. There's too many people in this world just coping. This is the truth. There's too many people, the majority of people. We think that everyone's happy on social media because they're posting their best bits. But most people in this world are just trying to keep their head above water. Most people are really struggling. And so I just wanted to help you reflect today on, how do you cope with your emotions? Did anybody teach you in your life how to find a better way than things like addictive behaviours like using food, alcohol, sex, shopping, whatever your form of addictive behaviour is, like a way of coping? It's just a distraction. One of my clients last week said she knows when she's feeling a feeling that she's struggling with, she'll distract herself by going straight to a mobile phone, and she'll just go like this and scroll. Do you do this? She'll just scroll and scroll and scroll, and she'll distract herself. So there's many adults walking around today that are just distracting themselves from pain because they were never given the tools how to process their emotions. And I show up for this work to help those women learn from scratch how to do it for themselves so that they're not coping anymore. One of my clients said about 6 weeks ago that she used to feel like she was just walking around in the dark. And I really get that. I spent up until my late 20s, early 30s feeling like just somebody give me a torch, somebody switch the light on, because I was in so much pain. Like, nothing made sense to me in this world. I was looking for answers. And I feel like now I know that that was part of my journey to get to this place now. I couldn't be here teaching people if I hadn't been on that journey myself. You can't learn this in a college room. Like, this is qualifications and sheer personal development and sheer personal experience. And so I now take all of that and teach women how to start from scratch so that they don't feel like they're walking around in the dark, and so that they don't constantly shove their emotions down and disconnect from their partner. And so when they can start to express their feelings and know that it's okay to feel nervous, it's okay to feel fear, it's okay to ask for help, and they start to become empowered as to how to change their thinking, like one of my clients did, so that now she doesn't even have panic attacks because she's learned how to change the way that she thinks. She feels more empowered. And it's only then can those women start to pass this on to their kids. The reason most women feel so overwhelmed with their children's meltdowns and their children's fear is because nobody has taught you how to deal with your own. So now you've got your own, and now you've got your kids. And no wonder you feel overwhelmed. You've got your own stuff going on that nobody's taught you how to deal with. You've now got 2 children with their emotions and their struggle, and you're trying to help them and you're trying to help yourself. And it's no wonder that you just sat there on the floor, like just absolutely overwhelmed, because nobody's ever shown you how to deal with your emotions. Hi there. So that's what I do, and that's my message for today. Have a think, how are you trying to cope right now? Are you thriving, or are you just coping? I knew that I used to just be coping, but I feel like most people don't even realise they're just walking through life blinded. And my mission is to help more people wake up, in a nutshell. My mission, my calling is to help more people wake up. The people that want to wake up, the people that are really tired of arguing in their marriage, of constantly fighting with their husband, of constantly shouting at their kids. I work with the women that are just really sick and tired of doing that, because that's not why they got married, and that's not why they had children. They know that something else is possible, and something else really is possible. And that's my message for you today. Have a think, what are your coping mechanisms? How do you currently cope with your behaviours? And just journal on it. Just firstly become aware, because when we firstly become aware of things, it's then that we can start to make a different change. So that's my message for today. I am going to be offline next week for Christmas, spending time with friends and family. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas as well. You might see me pop up between end of Christmas and New Year here, but mostly I'm just going to be taking time, having a really fun time, relaxing, and I really look forward to being back here in 2020 to share more information, to share more messages with you, and to help you live a happier life within your family home. Take care everyone, and I'll see you soon. Bye.